Nope.
Time for draft
Follow us
time.
on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. State of My Sports.
Please don't get him started on mock drafts.
125. Not bad. Still got a lot to talk about
It's
here.
pretty rough.
But I'm going to need your guys' help on this one. But we'll start with the Michigan season preview. John, don't forget to change the stream too, though. I know you're drafting, but are you on the clock yet? We want to do at least one pick for you. Can we do one pick for you?
Man, I wish you guys could have done my first one. I mean, it was a no-brainer. And then all of a sudden, like I said, the clock said 3 minutes till draft, and I clicked over to the player list, see who all is like there, and look at the rankings again. And then, boom, a bunch of the top ones were gone.
Wow.
And then it had me auto-drafted, with
That's frustrating.
Jonathan Taylor. Super frustrating. Then I tried to fire up a league on ESPN, and you can't update the league's settings until everybody joins.
Oh, now you got to get everybody to join.
Yeah,
You got some time, though.
Sleeper, man. I'm telling you.
that's what we're trying to do right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Go through it. But
All right. Well, we're in our Michigan season preview. As we all know, Michigan had the season all Harbaugh lovers expected to eventually have, and all Harbaugh haters thought wasn't possible. They went 12-2 overall after beating Iowa in the Big Ten championship game and losing in the playoff to the eventual national champions Georgia Bulldogs. They went 8-1 in conference, beating rivals OSU, Penn State, and Wisconsin along the way. They did, however, lose to their in-state rival, Michigan State, for a second straight year, and were completely outmatched in the playoff, losing 34-11 to Georgia. It was also a strange offseason with Harbaugh testing the NFL waters once again, but decided, allegedly, to come back, and I believe got a new contract along the way. However, during all of that, Harbaugh lost his defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, to the NFL, and offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis for a lateral job to become the OC at Miami. With that, they have Steve Klingscale and Jesse Minter as co-defensive coordinators, and Sharon Moore being a co-offensive coordinator with Matt Weiss. So a lot of stuff going on for Michigan. Betting side of things, Michigan is plus 4,000, tied for 7th to win the national championship. Second best odds to win the Big Ten at plus 650. I think I said I have a typo on this one. OSU is minus 215. Their over-under wins are over 9.5 wins is minus 140, and plus 120 for under 9.5 wins. Big number there. And to say 10 wins
a big
minus
one.
140, whew, man, that's something you don't want to put money on. I'm not gonna lie. I just do not touch something like that, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That's
Vegas. I mean, that's pretty good confidence in Michigan. though,
it
from
really
Vegas.
is. It really is. Some key subtractions, starting with the 3 first-round talents on the defense side of the ball, with number 2 overall pick Aiden Hutchinson, safety Daxon Hill. He went 31 overall to the Bengals, and when David Ajabo got hurt, his stock kind of fell. He was selected in the 2nd round by the Baltimore Ravens, but truly a first-round talent before the injury. Excuse me.
Got emotional. Got
yeah.
emotional over
They also
David
lost
Ajabo.
safety Brad Hawkins, linebacker Josh Ross, defensive tackle Chris Hinton, and cornerback Vincent Gray on the defensive side of the ball. On the other side, running back Hassan Haskins went 4th round, and offensive lineman Andrew Stuber, 7th round pick, are obviously gone, but also lost Dalen Baldwin to graduation. So some key names. I think obviously the defensive side of the ball is where the Wolverines lost their talent. But we're going to start with the offense and previewing the offense. And really, this is basically just a toss a grenade and let it go and duck for cover. I mean, because we're going to start by talking quarterback. And it starts with Cade JJ controversy. Everybody knows what's going on here. But basically where we're at, I don't want to get into what they did last year. We'll talk here a little bit about that. I just want to talk about the decision of what Harbaugh has officially made. Cade McNamara is going to start game 1 on Saturday, and he has already decided that J.J. McCarthy will start game 2. What do you guys think about that method? Trying not to get into who we want to win or who should be quarterback, who shouldn't be quarterback. That method, are you concerned about that at all?
Partially, but I guess it depends on what side of the ball you're on, right?
No, I
If
don't,
you're
I
on-
don't
No,
have any problem.
I don't. You don't have any problem. I don't want it to be about what side of the
No,
side of the coin we're on here.
I know. I'm not telling you I'm on team so-and-so or whatnot, but there's going to be people that look at it with two different sight glasses, really. But I don't like it, honestly.
No.
I don't like the whole why not keep it to yourself that JJ is going to start game 2? Why go out and tell someone?
Because these things, he said in his press conference that these things tend to get out. That's the reason he gave the entire depth
which he
chart.
has never done.
Yeah.
He's never given a depth
They
chart.
they released the whole depth chart to the media ahead of time, and that was
weird.
one of the questions. Like, why did you do this? He's like, this stuff gets out anyways. We wanted to control this. We were very honest with our players. We're going to be honest with. We're just trying something new, and I think it's interesting. The quarterback situation, if they can't figure out who's the better man for the job, and the starter from last year was the one who won the Big Ten championship and went to the playoff. It says that they truly do believe in both guys. They believe in the talent of JJ. They believe in the leadership and talent of Cade. And I don't know. I'm also not one of those guys that believes if you have two, it means you have none.
But
I agree with that. I hate when people say that, especially in college. It's different in pro, but when you have that in college, it's bullcrap.
What an awkward position, though, because he just named Cade as one of the captains. For
He
the
didn't
team.
name the
No,
team voted
the team
him
did.
captain.
Oh, the team. Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Unanimously.
Okay, so the team voted him team captain, one of, right? And then Jim decides he's going to take one of his starts away no matter what. Hey, thanks for playing for us last year. You're getting to start game 1. Sorry, JJ's getting to start game 2. Things get kind of weird. Like, doesn't that situation kind of speak for itself? Like, hey, we really don't believe in Cade 100% going out from here. It's that JJ might be that much better, and we're looking to...
Well, I think you kind of asked two different questions there. Do they believe in Cade? Yeah, I do think they believe in Cade. They obviously believe in Cade of what he did last year. It's impossible not to. He led their offense perfectly. He did exactly what they asked him to do. They ran the ball first. Like he did nothing wrong to lose his job. They trust that he can go out there and do exactly what he did last year. But does that necessarily mean that they don't think JJ's pressing him for that job? And I think that's where I like the honesty about it is, no, JJ is the one that's getting closer to Cade's level, is pushing Cade. And when he passes him, we're ready to give that to him. That's the way I look at it. Now, I understand all of the, is it fair to Cade? Is it, like, I get very uncomfortable with all of this conversation. I don't know where I stand from a team standpoint and trying to like look at it as how I would if I were on the team and how I would look at it as a fan and how I would look at it as these two guys. It's a very, very tough situation, and I don't know the right decision. But one thing that I love, sorry, I know you want to jump in. One thing that I really like about it is if it's that close of a race and you're going to give it to the guy that been there, done that last year, proven that he can, but then not just let him keep that job. And what they have now is a first half. Let's assume Michigan does what they're supposed to do against these two teams, and at halftime they're switching. Well, instead of Cade going in and handing the ball off and playing respectfully against scrubs and with the second team offense as a whole, instead he's going to get game 2 to be this starter with the first team to run up that score and do exactly what Cade gets the opportunity to do in that first game. That aspect, I love it. And what it also does is it gives them 15 more practices to decide, because they're going to learn more in practice than they are in these two games, outside of what the fans think. Like, we're going to sit and watch these games and feel like we're learning something about these two guys. They're actually learning something in practice in the way that these guys are both running the team. It gives you 15 more practices, or 15 or more probably, I guess, from here till then.
With games.
With games, you have all of that time to then make a decision. I get the transfer portal thing, like, well, hold these guys hostage and stuff, and it's uncomfortable and all that stuff, but you got to do what's best for your team. And the best thing that's for Michigan is to keep both these guys here. That's the best thing. And they can make their own decision. If they want to middle finger the program and walk out because they're unhappy with the way Harbaugh's doing it, they have the ability to. They could have done it last year. They could have done it in the offseason. They could do it now. They can do that. I don't care about these guys' feelings. put the best guy out there. That's what I want to see eventually.
Let's not understate what Harbaugh said to himself. He believes these guys are not candidates to just go transfer when things get tough. He believes in the character of both of these guys. When he was comparing their leadership ability, you have a team captain and a true sophomore. And when he was comparing their leadership ability and command of the team, he said they were equals. So he's not discounting what JJ brings to this team. He believes what he does.
JJ's a leader too.
He is a leader, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. If JJ was young with a lot of talent but didn't have the character traits that they were looking for in a starting quarterback, this would not be a question. Cade would be the starter.
That's a good point.
He believes in both of them. He truly does, and I think they are wrestling with this decision. Clearly, they are, because this is the result that you get.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. You get 2 weeks worth of additional practices, but also I think what you do on the field does matter, because that's where the true execution, when the pressure's on the line, that's when that execution matters most.
Okay.
And if a guy like JJ can go out and do what he does best and execute the small things that they're expecting, and then bring the playmaking ability, running ability, and some of the dominant traits that he has in college football, watch out. This could be a Trevor Lawrence type of change where they're not that year that Trevor Lawrence took over, Clemson was playing for something more than just being a conference champion.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing for something long term and going after some sort of national championship, or at least aspire in a final. That would be the goal in Michigan. If they truly believe that how to get to the Final Four again, and then aspire for national championship status, if JJ gives them that opportunity, I think they're going to go that route. But we saw ball security issues last year, which they say he got over. We had injury concerns during the summer with his shoulder and everything that he's hopefully over. He's letting the play on the field determine who the right course of action here, and I'm all for that.
And as Michigan fans, that's what we should want. Throw the feelings aside. If you're going to feel bad for a guy like Cade because he loses his job to a guy like JJ, get out of here. We don't want you as a fan, because what we did last year is the absolute ceiling that we've seen in our lifetime, other than 97. And that really, before that, it was early 60s or mid 60s when they won the national championship. Before that, it's like one title in like 80 years or something. I don't know the exact, but it's like, do you want to go to that next level? Well, these are the tough decisions that need to be made, and will they make it? I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
Cade could be the guy for the job.
I'm just saying, if you want more, like you've been demanding the last 5 years under Harbaugh, this is the stuff that you need to be okay with. Whether you think Cade deserves the job or not, and I'm not taking a side of who should and who shouldn't get the job. The best guy should get the job. And I'm going to trust that this Harbaugh is going to make that decision. This will be the first time, if he actually makes a decision, that we believe that he put the best quarterback out there, and he's throwing feelings aside. He's not putting any of that in there. And that's probably unfair. I think in the moment that was how he felt, but I think as we've seen things unfold with these guys suck, even though it's like the next guy and then he sucked and then the next guy and he sucked, and now all these guys are out of college football now, maybe that's a little unfair to assume that he didn't put the best guy out there. You know what I mean? Kind of going back here, but
no, yeah, right, yeah.
It's like
maybe they just didn't have much.
Maybe they didn't have that.
And maybe we have two legit guys now.
And now that's what's happening, and that's what it looks like. They're giving JJ their final chance to take this job from Cade. This is it.
Yeah. And what we're gonna get,
and it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing.
Or the opposite, where he's giving Cade one final
to win it
and
keep
to
it.
establish this job and say, no, this is my team, my role, my responsibility.
I tell you what, take the over and take Michigan's points in both of these games, because both these quarterbacks are going to be looking to pump up the score in that first half. Every chance they get, both these guys, and I hope it's a clean competition. I hope they like each other. I hope they get along good, and I hope that they're ready to push each other, because, man, this offense, these quarterbacks are going to be looking to make plays.
Here's a good question, interesting question. So if they blow up both these teams in the first half, who comes in the second half?
That's a great question. Like, does JJ take over the second half? I don't think so. I think
it'll be talking third string.
I think it'll be like third string, right?
Okay.
A good chance, yeah.
I don't know.
I just wondered.
I think they'll give JJ a run, at least a a series or
in the
maybe
like the
two.
first, yeah, and then probably Cade.
No. I think it's Cade's half.
Well, I
think
mean,
it's
sorry, I
Cade's
meant
half.
in the first game. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So
and
say they're
then-
up 30-0 at halftime. You move into the second string. Maybe they'll give JJ a drive or two, and then
Yes.
quickly bring in the third
Yeah,
string.
but he would be in there with the number twos.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this is so that both quarterbacks get an opportunity to work with the ones. And
Yes.
see how that
Yep.
chemistry is. So
yeah,
that
that's important.
I like that. The other thing here is the reason this is a challenging decision is not like, let's just say that Cade McNamara was a senior this year. He had 1 year left. I think the obvious choice is to let Cade play out his career and then have JJ step in and try to be a
And JJ is
Heisman
probably
candidate the
good
next
with
year.
that.
Yeah.
but that's
absolutely.
not the case.
It's not the case. They both have, because of COVID and everything weird happening there, they both have 3 years of eligibility
Yeah,
left.
you were right about that. I remember talking in the car on the way to the Burning Foot.
Yeah.
And I thought you were wrong about 3 years, but you're right. Yeah, he's got this year and 2 more. Cade talking.
Yeah.
Cade was like a third year freshman last year.
They've both got 3. I actually got a sheet of all the eligibility of the starters.
He
Yeah.
was a super sophomore. I think that's the way they're
Is
they're
that what it
saying
was?
Yeah, so
Right.
then he still has 3 more years of eligibility, which matches JJ's eligibility. So this is not a decision that let's throw a scenario out there. JJ wins the job and he goes nuts and he turns into a pro prospect. He could get drafted his first year being eligible to be drafted. He could get drafted not this year but next year, I believe.
And then Cade could still have
And
one
then
more.
Cade could still have another year of eligibility as a super senior.
But I don't know if he's going to graduate after this year.
Well, if he just goes into graduate school and he
Yeah.
can stay here as long as he wants.
Man.
I'm just throwing a weird scenario out there. It's like, there's not a good answer except
No.
for let the best man win. Competition
And
brings
that's what
iron sharpen iron.
every fan should want is the best player win the job. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Getting into the O line here, the addition of another name.
Go for it.
Olu.
Nope, I'm not even gonna try. From Virginia at center.
What's his nickname? Are people calling him Oli? Ali? Olu?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask JJ.
All right.
You think JJ knows better than Cade? I see what you did there. At center, settles the front 5, helped by all Big Ten guard Zach Zinter is back, along with left tackle Ryan Hayes. They bullied teams last year, bullied Big Ten teams, and they may have gotten better overall in a lot of ways. I think this tackle center from Virginia sounds like the real deal. From everything I've read about him, it sounds like he could come in and be the best center in Big Ten. Which I don't know the depth chart or like everybody's center.
He
but
was
like,
an All-American.
people are- yeah, I mean that's solid.
He was an All-American last year. They're actually, by all reports, he's an upgrade from last year's center. Our right tackle, I know Stuber was a big deal last year. He did a really good job.
Yeah, he was good.
Mhm.
But he also was a little bit maybe slow. So we're actually considered, I forget the name on right tackle too, but it's a new guy that just won the job, and we should actually.
Trente Jones.
Yeah, Trente Jones actually could be an upgrade over Stuber as well. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say
then
that
assuming
they're
Zinter takes a
guaranteed to be
step
better.
up.
I think if they're worse, they're just a hair worse. If they're better, they're just a little bit better. And this team, this is the strength of the
This
team.
is the
still.
strength of the team.
Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. Then you look at the running back room behind a good offensive line and potentially good passing game. When you look at Haskins' numbers, he had 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns. That's pretty comparable to what Kenneth Walker did in a lot of ways. I think Kenneth Walker had 2 less touchdowns but 300 more yards.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, seems like a lot, but at the same time, those are really good numbers, what he did. But you do bring back Blake Corum, who almost had 1,000 yards rushing himself, an additional 140 yards receiving. I thought that was going to be higher when I started pulling these numbers. And 14 total touchdowns. Also with true sophomore Donovan Edwards, who shined with the few touches he got.
He had 140 yards in one game
it's
last year.
insane.
Receiving.
You don't want to underestimate what Haskins did, because especially getting another running back drafted, finally a running back drafted, a skill position drafted from Michigan into the NFL, that's a huge step up in a lot of ways. It doesn't happen very often, and now that it's starting to, it's exciting. And I don't want to underestimate what Haskins did, but this running back room, there was a lot of people that liked Corum better than Haskins, and there's a lot of people that liked Edwards better than Corum, and like it's not a step down. And when your core offensive line is still there, and maybe even a little more of a better wrinkle with Edwards, with the potential of catching the ball out of the backfield. That's something that I think Haskins did probably well, but it didn't show. Like, they didn't show it a ton. So what do you think about the running back room? It seems like another one of those things, like you just said, Ryan, with the offensive line. If it's at worst, if anything, it's a little worse, and if anything, it's a little better. Right? Is that a fair way to look at it? I mean, do you guys agree, or do you think it's better?
I think it got better.
Yeah.
I mean,
And these are the two. There's probably more that I'm
nothing
missing
against
here.
Hassan. I mean, completely different running back room the way it looks this year, but you have a much higher ceiling with these two back there. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, we've seen what we could.
Donovan Edwards was a 5-star, right? I mean,
Right.
that guy, he came in legit. He looked the part.
Still looks the part.
Yeah.
I mean, his ceiling's so high, it's ridiculous. I mean, he's
Watch him playing bags, and he's just jacked out there.
classic story.
He hit
No.
the hole every time.
No, there is so much talent to go around in that running back room, especially with Corum and Edwards. I mean, Edwards is he's so dynamic. He's so versatile at what he does, what he can do. And Blake Corum is going to be dynamite. He's going to have a huge year.
That dude looked so good when he was healthy.
I was
And
gonna say
he-
dynamic. That's the word for both of them.
For
This
both of
room
them.
is going to be
Where,
different.
I mean, Haskins didn't have that dynamic feel, at least. I think there were times he was slipperier than I think people give him credit for, better runner than people gave him credit for,
Yes.
but that would be the word that people probably wouldn't use when they were talking about him heading into the year.
That's the words we used. We've been talking about Haskins for 3 years.
We like
he was
that.
always
And-
the best thing that he did is he established himself in this running game as a dominant part of Michigan football again, and then let the young guys develop under him.
Yeah.
And he established the route. Now these guys will take over, do exactly what he did, but the difference is the dynamic opportunities that these guys both have in the receiving side. I know I've heard on Sports Talk Radio that Corum's the runner and Edwards is going to be the receiving back. I'm like, could be the complete opposite.
Yeah,
they really should be switched.
I agree with that.
The point is, both are dynamic running the ball, and both are dynamic catching the ball. They can both be the wide receiver. Like, these guys are going to be on the field together.
You think
a
they
lot.
will?
I absolutely think they will be.
All right. No, and that's something that we didn't see a whole lot. I mean, a few times, but we'll see it a lot more this year, based on what you guys said. I did want to talk about the wide receivers and then touch a tie out on really the tight ends. I'll just get the tight end stuff out of the way. You got Eric All
They're good.
and Schoonmaker coming back. They're returning. That is massive in the Big Ten. That is massive for this team. Two reliable tight ends that can block, that can catch, and make plays. That's all I got to say. And it's a safety net.
I got a freshman coming.
Do that. So, yeah, I didn't get too in depth of the tight ends, but let's talk about the wide receivers. I would say very deep with Ronnie Bell coming back from injury and young players. You hope to see us take a step up. You got Cornelius Johnson, Andrew Anthony, Roman Wilson, AJ Henning, Sandersfield. That one really confused me. Now tell me a little bit about Sandersfield. Kind of going to take a detour here. Is he playing corner now, or who is it that's playing corner now?
Yeah, he's playing corner now. I mean, look what you just mentioned. It got far too crowded, and that the talent level at the first five guys you mentioned is it's too far. It's too far. So he made the switch to cornerback, and that's where he's sitting right now. I don't know where he is on the depth chart currently, but he had to make the switch.
Yeah, it just seems like a very deep core, and then a couple guys that needed to similar to what I think Ronnie Bell's he's the go-to guy. Like, people forget he was going into last year being ready to pump up and get into that top 3 high-end draft pick next year. He got hurt, I think it was against Western Michigan, and I mean
week one
he's
had this sick
back.
one-handed catch.
Oh my
too.
gosh!
He
and
took
then
one
he
to
had
the house.
the punt return. I think that is what he got hurt on, but it was a sick return too. If I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude is dynamic, and he's your Jaden Reed going to Michigan State. He's that guy. He's going to be your number one, no question. Who's going to take that step up? That's what I want to know. How? Like, I could read these names, and you guys talk about how highly recruited they are. You need a mix of wide receivers. You need to have the body. You need to have the speed. You need to have the slot guy. Like, all those things. How do these guys mix together is what I don't know, because I don't really remember sitting and watching Michigan last year and being like, oh, that's our guy that does this. That's our guy that does that. It just seemed like a bunch of the same guys trying to do the same thing. You know what I mean? And I look at the game completely wrong than most people. That's one. Yeah, I need to get. Go ahead.
Ronnie
Tell me
Ronnie
about
Bell's
the
a
wide
legit number one. He's
Yep.
going to be a legit number one. And what I think is the best thing is that's his role. That's going to free up Cornelius Johnson to be better. That's going to free up Andrell Anthony to be what he would normally be in a number 2 or 3 option. It's going to take away the need to always have a small guy in the slot, and then you have 3 bigger wide receivers moving around, or throw multiple slot guys out there and then just have them run around like crazy. I think Ronnie Bell is the perfect addition, the exact thing that we were missing last year. The frustration last year was that Cornelius Johnson, we all see the talent there, but it's not a dominant type of style wide receiver. He needs some help. And so he's a great guy to be a number 2, but he needs a number 1. And Andrell Anthony could take over as a dynamic 1 or 2 type of guy too, but again, Ronnie Bell this year takes that pressure off. He
Right.
can fulfill that role right away. He's a team captain. I'm pumped about getting him back. He's the perfect style. He really led our team in catches like 3 or 4 years ago when we had several NFL type wide receivers on the team. He was still the go-to then.
And A.J. Henning, you're going to see more Debo style kind of things out of him.
Okay.
I said Debo style, Debo Samuel style. So you're
I know
going
what
to
you meant.
okay.
Harry
Good.
Styles
Ooh,
type
So
I need to
he's
listen
going to
to that
be,
tonight.
kind of like your Swiss Army knife, where they're going to use him a lot of jet sweeps in the slot,
Okay.
on the outside also with Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson being another deep threat type guy. He's
Yeah.
just lanky. He's
Effortless.
got good hands. That's kind of where those two kind of fall.
So offense as a whole, I think outside of the quarterback drama, I don't think anyone really questions what this offense can do. They quietly had, I think it was the most explosive offense in college football last year with just big plays. You know what I mean? I think they had the most 50-yard plays and the
Big
most
plays.
60-yard plays, like all that kind of stuff. And it seems like they only got better. And that's really exciting to see. And it doesn't feel as explosive as everybody's thinking Ohio State's going to be. It doesn't seem like the hard-nosed running game that I think people think Wisconsin can be, but it seems like they have a really good mix of both and might be better at both.
I'm also looking at some of these games here. They're not facing the top end type of defenses that you would expect to see Michigan's schedule normally.
The schedule's
They are going to run up some scores. I'm expecting big time offensive numbers this year,
yeah.
and
Right.
I expect records to fall this
Yeah.
year.
No, that's exciting. It'll be fun to see. They're going to be up there with some of the best offenses in college
No doubt.
football with stats and not just throwing up points, but just being efficient too. Like they're going to be very well balanced.
I think-
Balanced better, probably the best balanced offense in college. With still wondering how Ohio State is going to be. I'm interested to see Ohio State. They might be able to run the ball pretty well, but they gotta improve from last year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you got an amazing quarterback, let's just go at like Alabama, and you're gonna have a great running back. They're gonna be balanced. I'm not worried about those offenses down south.
All right. So let's get into the defense. Obviously, the defensive line. You lost Ajabo. You lost Hutchinson. I'm really going to rely on you guys heavily for this conversation here. Who's filling those needs? Obviously the defensive. I mean, you lost Hinton as well, who was a defensive tackle. That was solid. How's this defensive line going to look? You got to win in the trenches.
I want to start off with Mozzie Smith. So
Okay.
I just want to give a little shout out here. Mozzie Smith, who started as a role player last year. We were high on him. We talked about Mozzie Smith a lot in the podcast when other people were not talking
Which
about him.
you weren't here for when we talked about him a couple weeks ago, were you?
Oh, no. Was
Was
there a report?
Yeah, well, he was number one on Freak.
Okay,
the
that's
number
what I
one-
was
is
gonna
that what
bring
you're
up,
No, go
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
No, do it again. No,
Well,
tell
yeah.
us a little
So he
about him.
brought up he was
I forget the name. Pete Prisco, maybe.
Bruce
Is that
Feldman.
Bruce
Bruce
Feldman?
Feldman's Freak List, which he's gained a lot of respect in
Mhm.
recent years and everything about being right on, because these guys end up being pro prospects the majority of the time because they test really well. The Freak List is all about your athletic ability. It's going to combination of size, strength, speed, just raw athletic talent and ability. Mozzie Smith was number 1 on this year's Freak List, which to me
With
comes
flying-
at a surprise. Like I see it, I understand. I've been a big fan of him for a long time, but I think what we're going to see is a difference in strength overall,
Okay.
mixed with some speed that we've already seen. So if he can keep that combination, and he's worked through injuries a lot in recent years, if he can be healthy, create that power to speed combination and put that on the field, watch out, because that's the inside presence that we absolutely have always been needing and looking for in this defensive line since, probably 4 years ago. I mean, we lost Hinton, but he was an undersized interior defensive guy that didn't rush the quarterback.
Yep. And
So
if
I
the
don't think it's a
NFL
huge loss.
didn't think he was valuable, that valuable at least. What about the edges? What are we looking at edges here?
I think that's a huge loss.
It's definitely a loss.
This is
Oh,
the
yeah.
biggest question. I don't think they're going to be as bad as some people expect them to be.
Yep.
If you look at David Ajabo going into last year, he was not somebody that anybody expected to be a first-round talent. Nobody was thinking that he was going to go out there and get double-digit sacks, and yet he went out and worked hard, learned from Aiden Hutchinson what it takes to be a great edge rusher, did what it took, obviously had natural ability, and you're going to see it with guys like, I don't know, maybe a sneaker like Derek Moore.
What do you got, Micah?
Maybe. I'm looking at Mike Morris for sure. Mike Morris is going to be a staple as an edge defender, and you got Taylor Upshaw and Jalen Harrell as well.
I like Harrell a lot.
Jalen Harrell made a lot of key plays. He blew a lot of people up coming around the edge, and you got to give some credit to that interior defensive line, and also on the ends you're going to have Chris Jenkins and Mason Graham, and those guys have been creating a lot of noise at camp, and for that reason, I think that's where you're going to see kind of the cohesion of the edge guys and your defensive ends working together through the interior, through the edge, and doing what they need to do and make plays, create stops, and get to that quarterback.
Yeah, but you mentioned him, Mason Graham. He's a true freshman, and watch out. This guy might end up being a starter interior defensive lineman with Mozzie Smith. It could happen sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
He's been really impressive.
And if they can kind of maybe going more towards the pressure from the inside that they got beat on against Georgia rather than the outside, maybe switch it up in that way. We'll see. But, what about the linebackers? How's the linebacking core look? Obviously lost Josh Ross, who was kind of the leader in a lot of ways in that outside of Aiden
100%.
Hutchinson. He was the quarterback of that defense. You had Aiden doing his thing, but Ross was the leader there in a lot of ways. How do we replace that? Do we have anybody that we're excited about?
Junior Colson, baby.
Junior Colson.
Yeah. Okay.
All day
Right.
long. There is no
Is he
other
better?
man for that job. Junior, I think right now, I think he's right in line with where Josh Ross was last year.
Okay.
And I think, again, he's another player where I think his ceiling is a lot higher than Josh Ross.
Yeah.
I had a lot more hopes for Josh Ross, and I'm having that same sort of feeling for Junior Colson. I think Colson's going to do bigger and better things.
Then Vincent Gray, he left at corner. Oh my gosh, Daxton Hill gone with the safety / corner thing. How do we fill that need?
Our safeties are legit.
Are they?
I'm not worried about our safeties. Dax Hill didn't play the role of safety last year.
Yeah, it was more corner and
It was corner and maybe a little bit more
floater.
freedom to float.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that. We have Rod Moore, who stepped up big time as a freshman last year. We have Micah, go ahead and say some names.
He's got the names.
I know.
We got Makari Page,
Yeah.
RJ Moulton.
Okay.
So
Um,
RJ Moulton was a starter last year. They are loving everything that I've heard. They're loving what he's bringing and his intensity and everything. But Makari Page has been one of the biggest risers through the offseason. What he's
Yeah.
done physically with his body and gaining some muscle. He's always had the speed. He pops on the screen. He always has, especially with RJ Moulton too. All three of these safeties, it seems like they fully trust all three of them. And it sounded like Harbaugh was actually saying in different packages he considers all three starters at this point.
That's really good to hear. What do you expect to see? Obviously, to say that they're going to take a step back from what they did last year. They dominated the games in crucial moments. I think that's the biggest thing. It wasn't necessarily they just put up a bunch of stats. It was when they needed to play, the defense seemed to be the ones that made it. can we expect that? What kind of step back can we see, or do you expect to see?
I'm curious on your answer here because
Okay.
you're framing this question in an interesting way.
I don't think you're going to have these these two edge guys like a Hutchinson and an Ajabo that are that effective. It's going to be an 11 starter effort is what it's going to be. Yeah,
So,
they could lead the Big Ten in sacks, but not with two guys, not with just the two guys on the ends.
do you think we let the TV broadcast manipulate the way we watched this defense last year, and they're actually deeper and better all around, but everything we heard was Aiden this, Ajabo that, Aiden this, Ajabo that, where it just kind of like as soon as that's all we're hearing, that starts what we see. Is that fair? And this defense overall is better than what we actually saw last year?
Well, I think they're a year older, and again, college football is so important with age. If you get more time under your belt, and we played a lot with freshmen last year, and so that experience that they got at a championship level is extremely valuable. So those guys like Rod Moore coming back as a second year player, that's huge. Like you just don't get that type of experience. Normally you'd only get that at like an Alabama or Ohio State, but those freshmen don't play. So he was on the field playing, getting that experience. I think this team could dominate in a different way. I think it could be kind of like a no-fly zone in a way. DJ Turner rated out as the best college cover cornerback in all of college football last year. Jamon Green, I think, is a huge asset to this team. He came back. That's important.
Yeah, and he's the guy that you were talking about that was like, he got beat, but he actually wasn't getting beat.
He only
was just
needed
like
to turn his head.
Yeah, he was like
Right,
Okuda
right.
when Okuda looks bad. Like everybody's like, oh, Okuda gets beat again. Well, he actually had him beat. It was just a great throw, great catch.
Yeah.
And he didn't get his head around and
Tip
did his
his cap
hand right
sometime.
here. Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Jamon Green doesn't get beat physically. He doesn't get
Yeah.
beat down the field. He's athletically equal to all of the wide receivers he plays against, and here and there he just doesn't see the ball. He's now an experienced cornerback that's been there, done that, and I think it's going to be super valuable for this team. And the Mike Sanders still is the starting slot cornerback,
Okay.
and
Slot.
that's where he came into into college football. He was
As a corner?
recruited as a corner.
Interesting.
So I think
Okay.
he's actually going to have a lot of fun with this.
So would you
Oh,
say
yeah.
the biggest question is the new defensive coordinator and how that transition is going to work? Or coordinators, I should say, rather than the talent and the players?
Okay, there's definitely some legitimate question and concern with it, but when you have Steve Klinkscale that's been there for the last 2-3 years, there's going to be some cohesion with the kids that have been on the team between him and Jesse Minter, the new DC. I don't have as much worry as I think some other fans do, but I'm not going to be so blind to the fact, like, oh, we're just going to, pick up where we left off last year. I
Yeah.
don't think that's the case for me. There may be a slight step back, but I don't worry about Jesse Minter coming in and really turning things upside down. I don't see that happening.
All right.
I don't think this defense is going to take a step back. I really don't. I think it will just do it differently. It's going to look different.
Yeah.
I'm not downplaying the importance of Hutchinson and Ajabo. I think they were legitimately the best college football pair of edge rushers last year, and I'm including Georgia in that.
Yeah.
And but we still have this talent and guys who believe around here. They're gonna be dominant. They're gonna be
Yeah.
really good.
I'm just going to go back to what I brought up last week. I mean, it's just another reload, right?
John's got something.
This team, you got something, John?
No.
No, he's so miserable
back.
over there.
I turned my phone off.
Do we keep sounding good or no? That's it.
Yeah,
No,
you guys are sounding great.
Yeah, so I brought up this last week.
Long-winded.
Since Jim came in 2015, 19th best defense, 5th best defense, 8th best defense, 16th, 14th, 115th in the COVID season, and then 13th. Yeah, I mean, the three defensive talent that they lost, that's a big deal. But what Michigan has shown since Jim's come in is he continues to bring in talent, and they continue to find a way to make it work no matter who they lose and who they gain. Like, it is reload. That's what this defense does. Now, what kind of step back will it be? I'm going to expect some kind of step back, but I'm also, like you're saying, Ryan, going to believe in it's just going to be a different way. Just because you don't have Aiden and Ajabo doesn't mean you still can't dominate on a side of a football. because there were plenty of teams that dominated football without Aiden, without Ojabo, without the edge talent that Michigan had. And I'm going to believe that they know how to build a defense and they're going to know how to run a defense. I'm sorry, but that's just what I'm going to do. But
Yeah, agreed.
who do you guys got as a breakout player? Or do you guys want to skip this part so we can save time?
Yeah.
Yeah? Breakout player.
know.
Don't
Micah,
forget
what do
about
you think?
player, dark horse MVP.
We'll just go through it. Let's just name the names and without expanding
All
on
right,
our
yeah,
thoughts.
you guys go. I'm not even going to do it.
Breakout player?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Donovan Edwards.
Oh, man, that's what I was going to do. Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy.
JJ. Oh, I know where he's feeling. All right, John, who do you got?
JJ was my pick, but it's the
JJ.
only name that was just like, come on, let's go. I'm pulling for him.
Dark horse MVP is 2 then, right? JJ?
Ooh.
He's not even the starting quarterback. Week 1.
I'd probably go
That's
with,
dark horse if you
yeah,
ask me.
Probably go with Blake Corum.
Blake.
Yeah.
I think Corum's really important, but all right.
Can I go Peyton or Leary? Peyton
Sure.
or Leary.
Why not? You
Wide
can do whatever you
receiver.
want.
Breakout.
All right. Getting into the team, the results here. I'm going to set the Michigan floor at 8-4. A lot of close games last year that came down to the defensive game-breaking plays. Will they do that again? They do have a pretty easy schedule, but I don't think any Michigan fan would guarantee wins against OSU at OSU, at Iowa, or home against Penn State, Michigan State. I'm sorry, but those are just games that we all get worked up for. And to say that they're 100% going to win those 4 games, I can't do it. So that's why. But other than that, I would assume that they're gonna win the other ones. So 8-4 seems like a solid floor to me. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think that's a little unfair?
I actually say their floor is 9-3.
9-3.
Yeah, just because I'm not like an absolute floor like these are the games they will lose, but
Yeah.
I think in general you would win one of those games,
Yeah, no, that's true.
and maybe Nebraska or I don't know, Indiana would then rival. I think the schedule's easy. I think
It is an
I
easy
think
schedule.
9-3 is the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Ryan. Same.
All right, ceiling. I'm gonna put it at 12-0. I think it's unlikely, but it has to be a ceiling. They were so freaking close to doing it last year. To say that they can't do it seems a little unfair. So I'm gonna put the ceiling at 12-0. Yeah, I'm a Michigan fan, but that seems like the only fair way to go, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And then for my personal prediction, I'll let you guys throw yours out. I'm going to go with 10-2. I'm going to say losses to OSU and either drop at Iowa or again to Michigan State, even though I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Harbaugh will allow that to happen. But I'm going to go with 10-2 just out of the close games that they had last year, assuming one thing will go wrong and another loss will happen. And then I'm going to mark them as a loss for at OSU at this point. Where are you guys at with your prediction?
I'm gonna go 11-1.
Lost to Ohio State.
I
I guess we don't need to do that yet. We don't.
I have them going 11-1.
11-1 as well?
Winning the Big Ten, going to the Final Four.
John.
11-1.
Oh, you guys are slappies. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. I would have done it. I just wanted to be fair, or this not get crap. from someone else. All right, that brings us to our schedule game. I'm just gonna do it. Sweep first 4. You guys good with that?
Yeah, let's move on. What do you think, Maryland? Maryland is the long shot there. They could throw it.
I'm assuming you guys just all said 11-1, so I'm assuming you didn't have them losing one of the first 4
Well,
games.
Maryland was the team I had them losing to. No.
All right. Week 5 is when their season really starts. They are at Iowa. Never easy. Obviously, it's Iowa. Iowa, you kicked the crap out of last year. You should win this game, but at Iowa. Never easy. To be announced time slot. Oh, boy.
You know that's gonna be a
Circle
night
it.
game. Cut it out.
I'm going to give them the win. I am. But I'm nervous about it.
This one makes me sick.
What about you guys? John, win or loss?
Iowa?
Yeah.
Win.
Ryan.
I'm going loss,
Oh.
and this is where JJ takes over because Cade let them down in the road
JJ
environment.
didn't come in at halftime and save the day with a Superman
Nope,
cape
that was
on.
Cade's team at this point. JJ's team after this.
He's going to go undefeated. I love it. All right, Micah, you got win or loss there?
I'm gonna go win.
All right, that's 3-1, Ryan. So
Yeah,
that's
that's fine.
5-0 at Indiana.
I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
be pretty consistent
That
from
was
here on.
tough.
I'm gonna go win at Indiana.
Yeah, win here.
Win.
Win.
Penn State, hosting Penn State on October 15, right before the bye week.
Win.
They are
Micah?
going to drub Penn State.
That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Drub,
Good
John?
job all day.
Win.
win. All right, that is a sweep. I'm going to give them a win as well. I haven't really gone consistent with my prediction, but it doesn't matter. They have the bye week. Both teams bye week heading into the Michigan State game. We had a sweep win is what we did there, so we got to keep that consistent here. At Rutgers, I'm assuming you guys don't think the Scarlet Knights are going to pull off the upset, are you?
It's going to be a close game like always.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's their running back?
JJ.
All right.
Honestly, I don't know. But it's,
yeah,
it's
win.
a sweep, right?
Win.
Cornhuskers, Nebraska. That's a sneaky one.
Nope.
I don't want to say it's a
Scott Frost won't be coaching. Sorry. That's a win for me.
Isn't
That's
that
why
a- isn't that a good thing?
That's why it's sneaky.
Look. I'm gonna go with a win.
Yeah, win.
John, win.
Win.
Undefeated, still fighting Illini before the big one. Win. Right?
Yeah, win.
Undefeated, heading into
Hey,
the
week.
Ohio State game. They are at Ohio State, who will be number one in the country by then. No, actually, they probably won't because they're probably going to lose to a couple teams, but we'll just get into that some other time. At
Yep.
Ohio State, I'm going to go with a loss. I think that's the fair thing to do. But,
I heard a draft thing there.
yeah, I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
He turned his phone back on. John, at Ohio State, win or loss?
Loss.
Oh, 2 losses.
I'm sorry, guys.
Ryan,
I got to win on this one. I've got Michigan beating Ohio State again.
coin.
Changing.
Toss. Coin. Toss.
Win.
Changing.
Coin
Ooh.
We got a coin. Sorry, I cut you off. But you were
They're changing the landslide or the landscape of this rivalry.
rivalry.
Let's go.
Rivalry.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it was just going back to a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
That one episode.
Oh, car.
Chalk up the L.
They got a loss. All right, so they finished 11-1. Is that enough to go to the Big Ten championship?
Find
We'll
out
do that
next
next
time.
Find out next time on State of My Sports. That was our season preview.